Hello everybody, back here again for our Idiot's Guide to Photography, and today's tip is going to be kind of a follow-up to my extension tubes for the macro photography. And I just had a couple people asking, they said they've bought them, they can't get any focus, any photos at all. So I decided to come out here. I'm kind of just out here in the, I don't know, by our reservoir. It's a little public land. There's a big pile of bricks in that. I'll show you here in a minute when I kind of pan around and show you my equipment. But what I've got it set up with, I've got my tripod out here, I've got my little time release, that kind of stuff. I'm gonna show you a few things and show you how close I'm getting to get the focus. The problem with it is out here it's daytime, you can see the sun shining, you can see the shadow on my face. The problem with it is the fact that I need to have like a ring light in that, but I didn't think about bringing it because I was out here outside, thought I'd have plenty of light. So this is something definitely, when you're first starting, inside your house is a much safer way to go, because the fact you're gonna be able to control wind, you don't have to rush shadows, all that kind of stuff. You can put a ring light on it, or even just a couple different flashlights pointing in from different angles to give you the light you want in your stuff. So I'm mostly out here just showing the distance with the lens I've got and pretty much how I've got it set up. That's, I guess, the lead into it, and I'm going to show you the equipment I brought today and work from there. So I'm right now filming or taking these photos with my 18 to 55 millimeter kit lens. I did bring my tape measure with me, just a cheap old tape measure. I actually have had this since I was a very small child. It works great. I'm filming it on top of that little brick there, and the back of my lens, because you notice I'm kind of at an angle, my camera, the back of the lens is exactly 1 inch from the brick up, and the top of the lens is 1.5 inches. So pretty much what we have here is just my tripod. The third leg isn't doing nothing, it's just hanging out here in the middle of nowhere, and I've just got the tripod laid over and resting on the bricks. This will be a completely different setup depending on what you're shooting. If you're shooting flowers or whatever, you got to figure out how to do it. The reason you want a tripod is because the fact you're out here, you're such micro focus, you have to have a tripod to get any photo worth a darn. I did this when I first bought it. I was outside trying to take pictures of flowers, zoomed way in on the you know, the little center type parts with the pollen and all that. Some of the photos turned out, but most of them had just a tiny bit of shutter, you know, shake in them, a little bit of blur, just because I could not hold the plant and me both steady. I should have cut the plant off, taken it inside without any wind, set up on tripod, all that stuff. I was just being quick and dirty, and it seemed to work. The one thing I do have on the lens here, so you can see, I'm just about a full 55 millimeters out on it. So that's the one person I had reply back, so they had the closest lens to it with that. So I always start out at my longest focal length on my camera. Also, you have to go to manual. You do not want to mess with autofocus. It doesn't work with a darn. And then I usually turn my focus all the way out. That way I can start moving it in and out. Find yourself something that's a really good shot and work your way in. The biggest thing you have to do is you have to take your lens cover off, because you're gonna get way too close for that. So I always recommend, if you're a little bit nervous, afraid you might hurt something in your camera, start the lens cover off clearly. Your lens protector, your tulip, all that stuff. Lay your lens virtually on the item, and then start slowly moving your camera back. If you slowly move your camera back, eventually it'll come into focus. I also, when doing this, I have it on screen view, which I'm not sure if we'll get this to show up here or not. You can see in the screen view. That way I'm not trying to look through my peephole and that. I can look from the side. I can actually tilt, mine's a T3i, I can actually tilt mine over so I can look at it from this angle while I'm pulling the focus. The next thing is, you can see, maybe you can see here or not, but I've got it focused in on, you hit your little button up here on top to do a macro focus, and that lets you zoom in to get super focus there. So okay, here we are back here again, and as you can see, I'm not fully out to 55 millimeter, only because the way this is set up, trying to aim down, my tripod, as you can notice, is really at a weird angle here. It's not doing great. So I've got it pulled back in, so I'm not quite all the way out to 55. I'm guessing I'm probably about 50, maybe even 49 millimeter on my lens. Of course, manual focus still. And the deal, I'm 1.75 inches on the back here to the bottom of the brick, and I'm just a smidgen under 2 inches from the top of my lens down to the brick. And my brick is at a slight bit of an angle, so I'm not getting quite so much off plane as it could be. And then again, just like before, I do the focus. You can kind of see maybe what that looks like there. Trying to figure out how to get that to block out a little more from the sun. So you can see there, and then again, you do your 10 time focus, and that gives you your spot right there. So pretty much same old thing. And again, like I said, we're 1.75 inches and 2 inches from it, and just like always, you would use your shutter deal, and that is just the 7mm focal lens extension tube. Next, I'm going to go ahead and put the next one on top, which I'm not going to bother running the 14 by itself and the 28 by itself. I'm going to run the 7 plus the 14 plus the 28, just because of the fact that I don't really have any gray out here to photograph, and the brick's kind of getting old. Once you find the focal length, then I'll show you how to work your way back and work your way through it once you get back inside, and I can set my camera right here up on a tripod and give you a little bit more input. But this is mostly just some rough estimates of how far out you need to be. So okay, this one here is the 7mm extension tube and the 14mm extension tube put together. So we're looking at those total, and it is at the full 55mm zoomed out, manual focus again, and I am 3 5/8 inches from the bottom back, or the tip here towards the brick, and I am just, again, a smidgen under 4 inches from the top down to the brick. So that would be a good focal point to get your distance. So we're looking right around 4 inches to 3.5 inches is where you want to find your focus. So I'll tell you now what it is with all three of them. Actually, no, I already told you all three to begin with, so I don't have to do that. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up outside here, and then I'll go ahead and actually might as well show you what I've got. Like I said, I just have my tripod out here laying over at such a weird angle.